Hi, hello, welcome to Dangerfield Sunday Prescription, and I am fucking knackered. But that's not a bad thing. I quite like it when my body says to me, man, you've been too busy. It's time to be less busy. What a lovely thing, and it's Sunday, so why wouldn't you want to be less busy? Nice, it's a nice thing. Just take it easy. Lay back, do nothing. Doing nothing is very underrated, man. It's all about doing something. And if I can give you any advice, kids, it's do nothing from time to time. A lot of you said that you enjoyed the ambient noise of the podcast last week. You quite enjoyed it. In fact, I will do my best to get rid of some of it, but if you enjoyed it, then that's fine by me. Another thing is, I am so happy. We had thousands of listeners, literally thousands. I had no idea how this was going to be received. I was obviously concerned. Excuse me. I was obviously, you know what? You know why I coughed then? Because for breakfast, I had 2 packs of Frutella. Those damn edible plastic sweets are incredible. But I can't do one. I have to do 2 packs, alternating strawberry, lemon, strawberry, lemon, strawberry, lemon, strawberry, strawberry, lemon, lemon, strawberry, lemon. And now I feel like I'm chewing elastic bands. So there's an image for your Sunday podcast. But we had thousands of people. Who the fuck is we? It's just me. Obviously, it's just me. There is no crew. I do have an engineer. I do have a producer. The lovely Poppy Hillstead. She makes this happen. So, in fact, yes, it is we. We are really happy. Poppy isn't happy because she's going through a terrible time at the moment after some awful treatment in her life. And I wish her a speedy recovery and slightly faster response to my texts, please. But yeah, we're very happy that loads of people downloaded it, and hopefully that will snowball. And if it doesn't, I'm quite happy with this number. I'm going to keep the number a secret, of course, because it's actually less than what I'm saying. But it's been great, and it makes it nicer because essentially I am speaking to no one here. But last week it could have remained 0, but now I know that people actually do listen. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay. So that damn aeroplane, another plane crash. What struck me was the company. I'd never heard of them before. German Wings. I mean, you can imagine. I mean, the marketing guys sitting together and going, "Why don't we take it back to the glory days of German aviation and call it, I don't know, the Blitzkrieg or the Waffen SS? Waffen SS, bloody German Wings." You can imagine Himmler and Goebbels in the... It's a Nazi stereotype that I am happy to continue with. But what a tragedy, man. The story at the moment is that the co-pilot locked himself in the cabin and wouldn't let anyone in, and they huffed and they puffed, but they couldn't blow that door down, and the captain of a rat-a-tat-tatted on the door, and he said, "Come on, get out." And he said, no, you're not coming in, I'm sulking. And what a sulk it was. He drove that fucking plane into the side of a mountain. Oh gosh. Incredible ego, really. If you're gonna kill yourself, that's fine. I think it's a right. It should be a human right. If you've had enough and you want to end it, no problem. But don't take loads of people with you. The egotistic, narcissistic indulgence of that. It's almost unbearable. It's almost incomprehensible that you think that is in any way valid. And even to say, well, it's not valid, I don't care anymore, but that's still, if you don't care, why would you take them with you? So that doesn't stand up. It's disgusting. And, you know, I feel for the bloke because you've got to be in pain I've never known. I think I've known pain. You know, I think most of us have known pain, and it's kind of relative. So the most pain you've had is kind of the most pain you've had. But to get to the point where you're going to take your life, you are in pain I haven't known because I haven't wanted to take my life. You know, I've had some real grotty things happen, and often I penned those things in the screenplay that is life, but I've never reached that point. So the poor fella was in pain, but the decision to take everyone with you, not necessary. Not necessary and ugly as hell. I don't fly well anyway. I am having Xanax and Valium for breakfast, a couple of gins at the airport. I don't remember getting on an aeroplane in the last 10 years. I have done. I travel frequently, but I don't remember much about it. That Xanax is like time travel. You have them at Heathrow, you wake up in Thailand. It's fucking brilliant. You know, a couple of gins in the airport lounge, and I dropped one in my lap once and was sort of escorted onto the plane. I told them I had some kind of illness, but I can't imagine what that must be like when you're, they must have known, you know, that moment when it's just starts plummeting down and the cabin crew are shitting themselves and grabbing hold of the parachutes and jumping out the door and everyone's looking around it. Oh my man. I wonder what happens. I wonder if you just think, fuck it. Fuck it. That's it, innit? It's over. Maybe you just, you know, everyone says, what you do? I'd fuck someone. Oh, I'd kill myself. You know, I wonder what you'd actually do. You know, it might be really surprising. You might just look at a person next to you and go, hey man, I love you. Whatever that means, I love you. Shake my hand. Yeah. Have the rest of my tea. Come on. Take a gift from me. Let me show you I'm human. Yep. Ain't it nice, eh? I've had a nice life. You know what? It could be kind of strange like that. You kind of imagine this sort of from the films, like, and everyone flying around and babies hitting the roof and all the masks come down and and people kicking the, you know, but maybe not. Maybe, you know, you're already dead. You're already dead. There's no stopping this, and it might be like some kind of weird event horizon where everyone's just, maybe they broke into song, you know. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're flying towards a mountain. Who knows? I'm glad I wasn't on it though. I'm really glad I wasn't on it. I flew Malaysia Airlines. After that one flew into the sea, which they're also saying was a pilot killing himself, and after the Ukrainian rebels or whoever shot that other one down, me and the missus went to Thailand and we went Malaysia Airlines. I thought the odds are good. The odds are good. 2 of them have fallen out of the sky. What's the chances of being a third? And we were absolutely fine. There was a few dramas though. I run out of drugs when I was in Thailand, and I wanted to show my girlfriend that I was trying, because I was trying. And it got to the last 2 days and she was like, don't you need more gear? And you know, she knows that I do, but I'm like, no, those few specks there at the bottom of that little tube, they will last me. We don't need any more. Let's go and have a couple of pina coladas and a little boogie on the beach and enjoy our last few days. I don't need to score. Come on, let's forget about it, which is ridiculous because I'm an addict and I was using and I needed it. But, you know, stupidity isn't too far away from addiction, so we're carrying on as normal, and tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Oh, and I get a little shiver up my back, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. And I'm not managing to eat, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. And the longest shit in the world creeps out my ass like a snake leaving a steam room, tick-tock, tick-tock. And suddenly, we're at the airport and I am withdrawing my bollocks off. Oh, absolute hell. And I'm just thinking 14 hours. Get on the fucking plane and in 14 hours you can score. You'll be in London. You'll be alright. 14 hours. I get on the plane and I'm pissing with sweat and I'm shivering and I can't keep, and I can't, and I think, fuck it, man. So we're up in the air and I'm thinking, oh man, why can't the driver crash now? Jesus. And I think, I know, I've got a plan. They must have morphine on this plane. So I go up to a hostess, I sort of shuffle along and I'm holding me shoulders a la train spotting cover, and I go, hello, I'm going to have a seizure. And I look the part, you know, I've been in Thailand 3 weeks, but I was transparent. You could see the blood moving under the skin and desperately trying to get from my heart to my brain, and the sweat was forming icicles on my beard. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to have a seizure. I know I'm going to have a seizure because I can feel the warning signs. And the thing is, if you just give me your morphine, because I'm thinking they must have morphine on the plane. They must have, if not morphine, some heavy-duty opiate-based painkiller. They just must. You know, they have to. And so I'm putting on this a RADA performance. It's an Oscar-winning performance. I'm going to have a seizure. And when I have a seizure, oh my God, are the people going to panic? Are the people going to panic? And you wouldn't want that, because what if we crashed? What if we crashed? So if you could just, I saw, I know how to take it. If you could just get me the morphine. And she says, I'm awfully sorry, but we don't have morphine. And I'm expecting that, to be honest. I say, look, I know you've got to say that, but if you could just give me the first aid box, I'll have a look in it, because I've lived with this, awful near-death seizure, darling, for years. If you just let me have a look in your first aid box, I'm sure I can find something. She said, we honestly don't have any. I'll tell you what I do. And then as soon as she says that, I'm thinking, bingo. My drug-seeking, manipulative behaviour has hit the target. I'm thinking, right, here we go. What is it? She says, I'll tell you what we can do. And I go, yes, what is it? And she says, I'll put a call over the PA and, we'll ask if there's a doctor on board. I think, oh, bollocks. And I just think I can imagine what's going to happen and go, bing bong. Hello, is there a doctor on board? Could you please talk to a hostess? And some doctor's going to come up to me, he's going to take one look at me, and he's going to go, he's a junkie, fuck him. And then I'll be like, yeah, and then I'll have to sit down. So I just say to her, oh, hang on. Oh my God, it's gone. And the symptoms haven't. I still look like shit, and I'm still dying, because that bit wasn't an act. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm going to have a seizure now. I'll be fine, thank you. And I go back to my chair. My missus has just got her head in her hands, and she goes, any joy? And I go, no. And she goes, no, weird that, weird. Yeah, not the nicest flying experience. They're always like that. There's always something horrific happening on a plane. It's par for the courses, I suppose. I watched The Imitation Game this week. The life story of Alan Turing, who broke the Enigma code in the Second World War. Not for Germanwings, he didn't. Alan Turing was like a maths genius, whatever genius means. He was like this sort of super brain. And the British government, the armed forces, the heads of the armed forces got a few people in, like code breakers, mathematicians, physicists, whatever, to break this Enigma code. They had one of the machines. You probably know this shit anyway. And this is a film about that story and about his life. The man that plays him is that funny thing who looks like a English bull terrier. What's his name? Camberbitch Banana Bag or something. What is it? Benedict Cumberbatch, something like that. And it's a disgusting film, I have to say. I mean, I was getting sucked in at first. I started watching it, and it's got all that beautifully indulgent sort of war nostalgia that this country has been dining out on for 50 years, and no doubt is going to be dining out on for another 50 at least. All the clothes are amazing. It's like this ideal life. There's a war going on, but man, the postman comes down the road and he's like, ding ding, hello Mrs. Jones. Oh, hello Posty. And there's apart from the fact that there's people dying in another country because of what's going on, the life at home is just perfect. Even when they're going into the underground because the Waffen SS, because Germanwings are bombing above ground, it's lovely. It's like, one day, what did you do? We went down, ding, ding, ding. And as they all make their way down there, and there's music playing, and they're smoking tabs, and so, I'm buying into all this, and then the female lead in it, I can't remember her name, Klinga-bing-ba-ding-bing, and she comes on and goes, hello, I'm a lady. No, I can break codes too. Oh, how awfully great. How amazing. And, I'm sort of buying into it, and then I just think, hang on, this is bullshit. And it was. And once you've broken the code, how ironic. Once you've broken the code of the Hollywood machine, so to speak, and you suddenly start looking at it for what it is, it was really disgusting. One of the key disgusting moments was the code breaking montage, which wasn't that different from the the Rocky montages, the training montages in the Rocky films. You know, it didn't, oh man, dang, 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 dang. Liven up, breaking the code. It might as well have been like that. It's just the eye of the code breaker is burning. It's just pathetic, and it had him holding his furrowed brow, throwing paperwork down, kicking this big machine that called Christopher, incidentally, kicking this machine as it wasn't working, and the woman going, no! And this code breaking montage, it was just, you know, it was just a Rocky training montage. That was disgusting. Another disgusting bit was the Spartacus moment when, you know, the commanding officer, he had no faith in Turing. He knew he was rubbish. He hated his eccentricity. And he finally said to him, I have waited so long to say this, Turing, get out. And Turing's life was collapsing in front of him, his little bull terrier face. This really hammed up sort of, oh, it was gross, man. Old Klingerbuck Badingashak was just, oh, it was gross. The tortured genius bit he done, it was like he'd been watching Whose Line Is It Anyway for acting tips. And then the other 5 or 6 code-breakers who up until this point hated Turing, one of them stepped forward and he went, if Turing goes, I'm afraid I'll be leaving too. And then another one walked up, but he was really nervous, this one, more nervous than the first, and he thought, what am I going to do? This could be the end of everything for me, but I've got to do it. And if those two go, I'll go too. And then another one stepped up, I'm fucking Spartacus as well, and I was like, oh, piss off. And it was just one rotten cliche after another. It was disgusting. What I did like about it, though, I have to say, and it wasn't what I liked about it, really, it had nothing to do with the story, but they were doing Turing's backstory, and he was at Eton or Radley or some public private school. Isn't that a funny thing? I'm 43 years old. I still don't know whether they're public schools, are they private schools? Are they public schools that are called private schools? Are they private schools that are called public? Is it a verb or a noun? I just don't get it. I don't get it. I know people who've been to them and I ask them and they don't know. I mean, is it an amazing trick of capitalist ideology that we can't name the elitist education institutes that exist in this country? Are they public? Are they private? I have no idea. But I do fucking envy them. Without a doubt. Anyone that says they wouldn't want to go to one of those schools is either a liar or an idiot. It would be amazing. My schooling experience was horrific. It was horrific. It wasn't about education. It was about discipline. It was about learning that you're fuck all, that you will never achieve anything, that you're not here to achieve anything, and trying is ridiculous and arrogant. I would love to have had that education where they literally tell you every day, you will be the leaders of the new world. Amazing. And all the decoration as well. I'd love to have had my cricket whites. I'd love to have gone out there. Tommy, hopefully we'll score some runs today. Oh yes. Oh gosh, let's go. And I would have loved to have, oh, we're playing rugby today. Oh God, look at this. I can't do the impressions of posh people because I'm not. But I would have absolutely loved that. I'd love to have whipped that scarf round my neck as I walked down the halls holding my book, learning about Greek philosophy, learning maths, actually fucking learning something would have been amazing. I am so jealous. And the grounds of those buildings, those beautiful old buildings and all the lawns, and admittedly there's no totty there, and that is a big downside. You know, you're going to have to put up with a fair amount of bumming. That's understandable. The fagging and all that grottiness. Oh, check it out. And yeah, so you are turning in your heterosexuality for a temporary homosexuality, which may end up being permanent. Apart from that, I would have really liked to have gone, you know, I have such envy for that life. I would have absolutely loved it. And it looked lovely in the film. Turing, it was an insult to his life, the fucking film. It really was. Turing was a big, massive bender, and later on in life it came out and he was charged with bending, and he was given an offer: either go to prison or have a chemical castration, which is essentially dosing up on hormones to cure your benderness, which is horrific. It's hideous. Humans are arseholes so much of the time, and that, crikey, what a thing to do to someone who had a very significant effect on the war as well, someone who essentially is a hero. I know that's a grotty bastion of ugliness, and I'm dining out on my own war mythologies there a bit, but don't do that to him. Just say, go and have sex with whoever you want, as long as they want to. Awful, really. And the film was an insult to him. They dumbed down the whole code breaking stuff so much. I mean, the story, the bits where the story changed, where they suddenly realised something, we can understand a little bit more. We might not be able to understand the full complexities of the Enigma machine, but we can understand a bit more than when he said, hang on, I've just realised the final code has a relationship with a translated code that we've got. Let's work there. Cue code breaking montage. I mean, come on. That just nonsense. Wasn't happy about it. Don't watch it. Shit. It did make me think, though, the whole prison thing, because it was involving his sexuality and that, and I started thinking about prison. I mean, I've never been to prison. I've been arrested countless times. I've spent many, many nights in holding cells, but never been to prison. And it got me thinking about that. And one of the things that never gets mentioned regarding incarceration, or certainly hasn't been mentioned to me, I don't hear it often, is they say that the price you pay for breaking the law is having your freedom removed. Well, for a start, that's a lie, because you're having your freedom limited in a different way. I mean, where our freedom is limited, we are limited as to what we can do, what we're able to do financially, physically. We haven't got ultimate freedom. And when you go to prison, you have different limitations on your freedom, more excessive, certainly more limiting, but it's just a different set of limits on your freedom. But what doesn't get mentioned is the denial of heterosexual sex. When you get sentenced to 20 years, what they're actually saying is, you will not have heterosexual sex for 20 years. And weirdly, that doesn't get mentioned, because I'd suggest it's quite important. I think that was quite a significant thing. If prisons were mixed, it would not be that bad. Let's be honest. Look at it. You've got a room, you've got company, you've got community, you've got nutrition, regular meals, you've got a job, you've got time to read, you've got relationships in a mixed prison, in my new prison, in Chris Dangerfield's sex camp, but it wouldn't actually be that bad. Now, obviously, this raises a question, well then, if it's not that bad, it's not punishment. But then if it is punishment, the bit that's punishing is the no heterosexual sex. Benders, they're going to be alright. Lesers, no problem. But if you can understand that a mixed prison wouldn't be that bad, at the same time you must be understanding that the real punishment is the denial of your sexual life. And that is incredible, because punishment doesn't work. Jesus, man, that ain't even an argument. Everyone knows that. So admittedly, someone might have done something bad to you, something evil, something that's affected you forever. You might have lost someone. It's the horrible things that humans can do. But punishment doesn't work. And in reality, unless these people are treated somehow, they are going to come out and probably do something again, because that's what happens on the whole. So if they were rehabilitated to an extent, if they were somehow treated, if they were encouraged, if they were loved, if they were, most people who commit acts of violence have been victims of acts of violence. It just is the way things are. Not always, but a significantly large percentage. And if these people were somehow shown compassion, they might learn compassion. If they were shown love, they might learn love. And we don't want these people coming out to do it again. What is the point? It's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and it makes things worse. So I'm seriously suggesting that, not that I've got any power to make it happen, but mixed prisons, whilst sounding like the most absurd thing in the world, might actually be the most obvious thing in the world. Surely that makes sense.
You're listening to Dangerfield Sunday Prescription.
I've been checking out open mic gigs on the internet, on YouTube. Man, I miss that stuff. I mean, I've been performing stand-up now for what? I don't know, 7-8 years. And they are crackers, man. Those open mic gigs. I was asking myself why I was watching them, and they're popular, you know, they've had a lot of hits. It was because there's something real in the performance, you know, when... Oh, I got a burp coming, 1 second. Did you hear it? I was wondering what was attractive about them. You know, I spent a couple of hours watching open mic comedy on YouTube last night. And why is it? Because there's something real there. You know, when someone has a breakdown on stage, that's it. You gotta do something, and you gotta do something real. It's incredible. And often it's anger. You know, I don't know how I feel about the fight or flight thing. I think it's largely mythologized, but there is something in it when someone on stage is, their dreams are crumbling, their sense of self is evaporating, they are just falling apart on stage and they just snap. It's amazing. I mean, I've seen so many. I really miss them. Man, maybe I'm going to do some open mics. Is that out of order to, I don't know, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm missing it, so I think I probably will, and fuck 'em. I see this one bloke once, right, I'd just come out of rehab, it was about 8 years ago, and I took a load of people I'd met in the rehab. I said, look, it's a night out, you don't have to drink, we're not sitting around talking and drinking, there's something to do, you know, and people fresh out of rehab need that sort of thing. Maybe a bar's not the best place, but... I said, you know, and they're free, and there's loads of acts, and we'll give it a crack. And 5 or 6 of them said, all right, let's do it. And so we went down, and we were down on Piccadilly, just round the corner, Denman Street, the Queen's Head, I think. And I'd done my first London gigs in that place, so it's got a very unspecial place in my heart. But I was there, and this bloke's gone on stage, and he was stoned. He was stoned, and he was 17, 18, and he was stoned, and you could tell that the smoking of weed occupied not only a lot of his physical time, but also his mind. It was a big thing to him. When you've got 7 crackheads in the audience, they're going to be less impressed by your weed stories. And so we're sort of sitting there, and we're not arseholes, you know, we're watching him, and he's on stage, and he's just doing nothing. He's dying, you know. I'm sure it felt great before he got on stage, but suddenly you could tell the tunnel vision had kicked in. He didn't know what he was saying. He was stammering. He was scratching his head. And suddenly he called it. And that's the moment. That's the fulcrum. That's the bit that Freud calls the navel of the dream, that Derrida then says threatens the undoing of the entire dream. It's that point in a show where they know it's not happening. They've got to do something else, but they've got nothing else to offer. And that's kind of what separates a competent comedian from a beginner. They don't know how to deal with those moments. And it's beautiful, and that's what drives me to watch hours of it on YouTube. That's what made being in that environment a pleasure, because they don't know what to do. I've done it. I've been there myself. I'm not elevating myself. I've many times. But this kid, this stoned kid, he went, he'd hit the bit where he didn't know what was happening, and everyone was like, oh. And he went, well, first of all, I'll tell you the line. He went, I had to see my weed dealer the other day, And that kind of done it. The room was like people in their mid-30s, and they know there's no such thing as a weed dealer. There just isn't. Someone has a bit more weed than everyone else and you buy it off them. There's no way, hey man, I got what you want. Maybe at a festival there is, but Jesus, I gotta go see my dealer. Hey man, you got any weed? It just didn't have any gravity to it. And everyone was like, oh, and the story, what made the story interesting to the kid was the danger of it. And he bought a lump of hash off a bloke in a car park, and the punchline was, whew, I don't know if I needed a joint after that, 'cause it was on top. Silence in the room, 'cause it's nothing, it's not a joke, it's nothing. And then he called it, and that's when his navel popped out, so to speak, and he went, look, it's not my fault I'm on weed. That's so good on so many levels. One, it is your fault because you got stoned before you got on stage, so it is your fault. The second thing is, no one's on weed. No. Oh man, how's John getting on? Oh, no good man, he's on weed. No one's on weed, because if it's a bad thing, you get off weed and you just say, I'm no longer on weed. And this poor kid, it's not my fault if I'm on weed. And everyone was like, ah. And then he just sort of shuffled off, poor lad. Interestingly, at the Edinburgh Festival a few years later, my friend Alex Hawley, who was then a comedian, but he jacked it in. Well, I don't know if it's unfortunately, really. He wrote some good jokes, the poor lad. But he was doing a show at Edinburgh, and I said to him beforehand, he was a bit strapped for cash. I said, Alex, do you want 20 quid? He went, yeah, of course. I said, all right then. At some point in the first few minutes of your set, you've got to say, it's not my fault I'm on weed. And he went, yeah, all right. I said, okay. I said, but no playing it. You can't say it was a bet. You've just got to say it in the same tone as the words before it and the words after it. It's got to be completely natural. He went, yep, done. I went, all right, I'll give you the money afterwards. And he was on stage and he was doing his bit and telling jokes. And then he went, anyway, it's not my fault I'm on weed. And he tried to recover it, but it did not work. It didn't work. It was a real clanger. The whole audience was like, what? Hey? And they didn't trust him after that, and he cut his set short. He come off and he just went, just give me the money. Just give me the fucking money, and walked off. The open mic, so I'm watching them last night, and it's funny that fight or flight thing, they just start getting angry, and there's a bloke on stage, and the audience are just sort of going, and then he goes, oh, fuck you. And then someone just sort of goes, hey man, there's no, the Millennium Falcon's landing outside. It's okay, we're good. Oh man, the noise, listen to it. Jesus, I'll try, Do you mind? Ding dong. It's like a Balinese orchestra out there or something. I'll plod through it. It's not my fault I'm on weed. Watching the open mics last night, so they're just shouting, and this bloke says, look man, no need to be nasty, just enjoy yourself. And he goes, fuck you, you big fat fucking cunt. Oh, women are cunts. And this just goes on and on. Watch it. Go on there, type in open mic fail or open mic die, all that sort of stuff. But what is interesting, I realise, is a lot of unknown comedians on there are using the on open mic fail. I nearly said are using on weed. They're using that as a marketing ploy. They're putting open mic disaster, breakdown on stage, and other titles like that for gigs where they don't. They realise that people want to see that stuff. And isn't that interesting? They know that people like that. And that's what people do like. They like to see a bit of reality. So much stand-up is, so heavily scripted, so rehearsed, so over-repeated that they're just on stage essentially being actors. And it becomes a bit boring, it's unconvincing. Humans can tell. When something real happens on stage, it's immediately engaging. People like identify with that. Suddenly you're human and you're you're talking to them and you're talking with yourself rather than just spilling out something. I mean, so many comedians are using comedy as a shortcut to another career anyway. It's no surprise that they're trotting out this shit. I mean, if you were to take out the comics who actually want to be comedians, there'd be thousands gone. You know, there'd be a handful of people left who are like, no, I do stand-up because I want to be a stand-up. You know, most of them, like, if you said, never do stand-up again, I'll get you a job on a panel show, they'd go, done, straight away. No thought required, because that's what they're in it for. If you said, you can never do a gig again, but you can present a show at 3 o'clock in the morning Tuesday on MTV, done. Straight away. They want to be presenters, they want to be famous, they want to be celebrities, and the bastards think stand-up is an easy route to that, and that's why there's so much cack out there. That's the real reason. It's fucking awful, really. Of course, I've had my fair share of shitty gigs. Yeah, obviously. You know, when you just start out and you have a bad gig, it's hard because it's your dream and you're not convinced you can do it yet. So every time you have a shit one, it just reinforces your negative views towards your own abilities as a comic. It's only when you've done a few hundred gigs and a few of them are good that you know you can. Even if you've done, say you've done 150 gigs and 140 were awful, the 10 or even 1, say you've done 150 gigs and 149 of them were shit, but 1 wasn't, that's enough to remind you you can do it. If you get it right, you can do it. But until you've had a good one, it's just hard. And no one's really had a good one until they've done over 100, really. And then good is kind of relative, better perhaps. But I have had hundreds of awful gigs, man. I remember one, me and Trevor Locke, we were doing a tour of schools. It was a great idea. We realised that every day around the country there are halls with chairs, with a stage, lights, and frequently a PA that's not being used. It's the school assembly hall. And we thought, why don't we exploit that and do gigs where we'll take half the money as our fee and give the other half to the school's some PTA association or whatever, you know, parent teachers, or if the kids need a sandpit or some shit. It was a great idea. We'd done a few, not as many as I'd have hoped. We'd done one, but the idea was good. It just wasn't successfully followed through. But this one we've turned up at this school and it's all good, and there's about 80 parents and teachers in the audience, and we meet the headmistress, and she was this big, curvy, buxom headmistress, and a lovely woman, and she was thanking us for coming and what a great idea it was, and they'd raised a load of money, and, you know, it had been the buzz of the school for a couple of weeks, and none of the kids were there, obviously, but, yeah, she was really grateful, and that was good. What we'd done, when me and Trevor done gigs together like that, one of us would go first, one obviously would go second, but the other one would introduce the other one. So Trevor would go up, introduce me, I'd do a set, we'd have a break, I'd go up, introduce him, and that was the night. So I was opening on this one. So Trevor's gone up, and, you know, effortless crowd work from Trevor Locke. It's just a sight to behold. He is the master of that. You know, everyone is completely relaxed and happy to be there, and he's just like a magician up there. And he introduced me, and I go up, and as I'm walking up, I just start getting scared. The nerves kick in, and I think nerves are important. If you're not nervous, it's because you don't care. And I can't do stand-up, right, before I do stand-up, if that makes sense. When I see someone else doing it, or I listen to it online or something, I think, how the fuck do you do it? I can't, like, now I can't do it. I don't know how you do it. But put me on stage, and the necessary chemistry in my body, the adrenaline and all that stuff, suddenly I have that ability. But on my way up there, I'm thinking, shit, man, I got nothing prepared, because I don't have prepared stuff. I just stick my hand into my past and dredge some horrific story out. So I'm walking up thinking, oh man, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Trevor was great. They loved him, and I'm a cunt. Oh, no one likes me. And I'm having a breakdown. That 10-meter walk to the stage was like the Green Mile for me. And I get on stage and I turn around, I think, I know. And I say, God, does anyone else want to really fuck the headmistress? And I don't give time. I don't give time for them to respond. I go, not just to fuck though. I'm talking about putting your foot on her neck and fucking giving her some. Yeah. As you can imagine, it was very difficult to rescue my set from there. Very difficult indeed. And I remember looking over and looking at Trevor as like something to look, something safe to look at. And he had his head in his hands and he just was shaking his head. Because this wasn't the first time that happened. I fucked Trevor over at so many gigs. There was this other one, actually, it was on that tour, so we did do more than one. It was another one, I think it was down in Bournemouth, some school in Bournemouth. This woman, Emma, she contacted us because she'd heard our marketing on Bournemouth radio. And she'd got us down and she was going, I'm so happy that you're here. And there was about 200 parents and teachers at this one. And, again, I hadn't done a gig in a while. I was way rusty. My arrogance made me think I'd be fine. And so Trevor went on yet again. They loved him. They adored him. He was brilliant. Just for a couple of minutes, just before he introduced me on. And then when I went on, one woman was looking at me really, really oddly. And it was the same woman who I said hello to when I was walking down the corridor about 10 minutes before. And she'd blanked me. And I went, why are you looking at me like that? And the whole mood just changed. And I had nothing humorous to back it up with. I'd essentially just gone, oi, why are you looking at me like that? And she went, sorry. I went a bit too fucking late for sorry. And it just collapsed. It was awful to the point where I went, you know what? I think I'd probably better get off stage. And a few people were like, yeah, go on, fuck off, get off. And, oh man. And then Emma's gone on stage. She went, we'll have a short break now. And I just went to the toilet. I could see a queue of mothers queuing up to shout at Trevor. And I thought, fuck it. And I've gone to the toilet and I'm in the toilet with my head in my hands. And I'm thinking, what have I fucking done? And when I've come back, Trevor's gone, you. And I went, look, man, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. He went, I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what fucking happened. Yeah. You're not match fit. You're not match fit, he went. And I just went, what? He went, you're not match fit, are you? Hey? And he went, and what? You know what makes it worse? You know what makes it worse? I've got to fucking get back up on there now and do another show. Yeah. It takes a lot to upset Trevor Locke. It really does. And I went, look, man, I'm so sorry. I will apologise. He went, I know you will. Go and apologise now. And I went up on stage and I had to apologise. And weirdly, I kind of brought them round. I just sort of said, look, I don't mean to upset people. Didn't mean to offend you. I don't know what happened. Trevor says I'm not match fit. And they cracked up. And suddenly I had them round and it was really weird. I said, see, I can be funny. But I didn't stay up there. I thought, let's get off now while the going's good. Jesus, man. Yeah. Bad gigs. Okay. Right. We're getting towards the end here. Last week, out of the thousands of people that listened, I put out some feelers and I asked if anyone's got any questions they want me to deal with. And I got loads of responses and that makes me really happy. So I've got a few of them here. Sorry if yours didn't get through. They were shit. But I've got a few here and I will try and go through some quickly now. Okay. Richard Griffiths asks, if comedy is the new rock and roll is dead, what is the new comedy? And he suggests politics. Comedy doesn't exist, does it? It's nor does rock and roll, nor does politics. Thank you, Richard. William Van Leerop asks, if I do a 1/4 ounce of crack and a 1/16 of heroin up a tower crane, do you think anyone would give a fuck? No, I don't. Sheridan Adams Clark says, love the podcast. Your take on my recent discovery that my daily prescription of Premarin stands for pregnant mare urine, which incidentally actually does. There's a drug called Premarin and it got its name from pregnant mare urine. Pregnant, mare, in urine. Premarin. So she says, your take on my recent discovery that my daily prescription Premarin stands for pregnant mare urine, delightfully extracted from farmed horses. Now obviously I don't want to car crash my body into osteoporosis. Your thoughts? Well, it's not even a question, it's just gobbledygook, so maybe stick to the meds. Julian Firth, hello! Jesus. Julian Firth asks, is punishment the relief of jealousy? Yes, it is. Sean Brightman asks, why? Sean, I don't know. Tim Wilderspin asks, as far as I know, you don't have any children. How do you feel about having them? Would you like to be a dad? How do you feel about posterity? Do you... Fucking hell, Tim. No, can't remember any of those. Nick Voss says, would you rather be married... Oh, no, sorry. Nick Ross says, I'm stuck in a rut, married with a wonderful daughter. Eh? Married with a wonderful daughter. I suppose all wives are someone's wonderful daughter. Anyway, I get it. Married with a wonderful daughter. All I do is wake up, go to work, fix boilers, come home, wife then goes to work, I'm stuck indoors. I then sleep and repeat. The only time I get to socialise is on a Sunday. There must be more to life than this. Clearly not. Okay, Alison Rogers. Last one. 5 years ago, a lady, let's call her Anna, discovered that her much older husband had been having an affair on his regular trips away. She was very upset, but she worked hard to keep it all together. He kept these affairs going, even though they were in marriage guidance. Then, a year later, she discovered he was regularly using sex workers. Oh. She still tried to keep it all going. Now, though, she's had enough. Home life is miserable. She doesn't know if the extramarital stuff is still going on, but frankly is past caring. However, the much older husband has had some illnesses and is reaching retirement age, and Anna doesn't want her lovely children, who are 12 and 16, to be hurt by this. Anna thinks she has missed the boat on this. Well, I haven't got a clue. Thanks for listening. You can see my last ever performance of my hit multiple 5-star show, Sex with Children, at the Proud Archivist in Haggerston, which is near Shoreditch. It's a lovely venue down by the river, on the 4th of April. If you go online, type in proudarchivist.co.uk or The Proud Archivist. You'll find me on there, 4th of April. Come along. It's going to be a great night. We've already sold a load of tickets. We've put some extra seats in there. It'll be lovely to see you. Thanks for listening to the Sunday Prescription. I hope you join me next Sunday. See you later. Yeah? Much later.